Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 19 of What If Naruto was told about the Uzumaki Clan from the beginning. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the Shadow of Konoha on this channel, and enjoy that guys. And also, I post a brand new episode over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto was the next avatar. And I also post a brand new episode over on Anime King 3 of What If Naruto had the ultimate nature bloodline. So go ahead and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying to talk about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Karen was at Uza, as she was gonna be departed, but Naruto told her that she would be returning after this war was over. Temari was late inside, as Temari saw Karen for the first time. She introduced herself as Naruto's wife. Temari was shocked. She never expected this at all. As when she was gone, Naruto saw the look on her face. Yet he was amused about it, as that pissed her off a bit. He never told her this. Despite that, he told her he still cared about her. But she needed time to think this over. This is just, well, unexpected right now. She got her time to think it over though, as she came back to him later that day. Well, it seems her decision was a good one for him. But she was not gonna play it easy, judging from her teasing him already. She had to go back to the sun after the day had ended. The next day she had to move out, as Naruto was going to war, as she told him to be careful. She was getting all sentimental, and it made him smile. As she was going back towards her village, she was ambushed by Kurosaki and her forces. This is what they were expecting after all. Her grandfather told her to get someone rather valuable, so they can force the sand into submission, so they would not intervene when they passed through the sand to go to Konoha. And they got someone very valuable. As Naruto heard about this while he was on the battlefield, but he couldn't do anything about it right now, so he focused on the 2,000 shinobis. As Naruto dropped down on them like a bomb, he didn't waste any time as he transformed. He learned to transform into the Nine Tails, as he let Kurama go free a bit. The fox massed their own in chaos and havoc, as it slaughtered hundreds within seconds. He left a few alive so they can report their losses. Gaara was livid when he found out that his sister was captured, as he went straight towards Konoha. Because what he was thinking, well, he was gonna go straight towards the hidden stone. Kurosaki was also talking to Temari. They hadn't done anything to her, as they just want her as a captive for now. But Temari told her that she was doing a wrong thing and making a big mistake. There was a meeting being called, as the nations wanted to talk to each other after all. They were different in this war. Even Snelly was moving out with Gaara as well, as she placed her ninjas at the border, so the stone could not just pass through like that, as they were gonna just run through their lands and fight as well. This was causing a lot of conflict for many people. Gaara and Jiraiya were at the ramen stand where Naruto usually show up, and to their surprise they actually show up there. As Gaara asked Naruto about his sister, as Naruto told him that he will get her back. He also told him that he will be attending this meeting. Yes, he will. So yeah guys, so basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself. So we need to begin this new episode. A couple minutes after his meeting with Jiraiya and Gaara, I was beginning to think I made a mistake, said Yujiro. As she saw Naruto walking towards her, he was carrying a ramen bowl. She was up in the tree in her envoy uniform. He jumped up in a tree and sat beside her. I was still talking to the Kazekage and Jiraiya, he said. I know what to do about the situation. Why did you call me, she said. I'm not your spy, you know. There is never a point I came to suggest that, said Naruto, as he pulled a scroll and handed it to her. After the war, you can give that to Shikamaru. My arrangement with the third was that he would allow me to leave Konoha for Uza, as long as in the end, Uza and Konoha became allies. The terms also include a political marriage. He frowned upon saying that. Even you can frown, she said with a smile. It was the trickiest situation I found myself in. The third did not buy my threat to release the Kyuubi because he knew I wanted to live, and he was certain that he could handle things even if the Kyuubi was released. I had to improvise. Good thing that he cared for me, and he thought about the best for Konoha. But you didn't. Not even a little, said Naruto. But I made the arrangement with the third. I cannot break away from that. Besides, he created measures to make sure I don't break away from the arrangement. That he did, said Yujiro. I will still oversee things until everything is in place. My people will speak to you from now on. Oh, and please tell Kurenai that I will come for the Genjutsu lessons. I did ask for a lesson from before. Is that who you're targeting? Asked Yujiro. Of course not, but she would not be a bad choice. I always figure if the third selected someone, it would be you. I wouldn't have agreed to it, she said. As Naruto raised the eyebrow, her response came so quick. Do you find me that unattractive? He said. I'm not going to fall for any of your tricks. If I answer that question, you have something lined up for any other way I might answer it, she said. I will give Kurenai your message. I'm not sure that she will be too thrilled though. It doesn't matter, said Naruto. She looked at him for a moment. You chose to die. Not only that it buy you cover. I mean, if you're dead, Konoha had no reason to look for you. If you had just left and gone to Uza, you would have had to reveal your agreement with the third before you were close to reaching your goal. Dying made sure that you did not reveal anything, and you didn't make him an enemy of Konoha. Technically, you're still a Konoha shinobi, because you were never declared rogue shinobi, and you returned back from the dead. No, that's a wild thought, don't you think, said Naruto? Keep telling yourself that, she said. What was it that the third had on you to make you agree to terms that you did not like? As Naruto went silent for a moment, he didn't buy my threats, but he also made a threat to me. A threat that he could carry out, one that could destroy everything. He just had to open his mouth. You're not the only one that know about this, said Naruto. He told me this, just in case I was gonna kill you after he died. No doubt you'd have done so, to keep your secret, she said. And you think I would ever marry someone like you, when you don't even blink, when you talk about killing me? I thought you did not entertain that thought. Perhaps the third tried to get you to agree to it, before he died, said Naruto. Who knows, she said. So who is the other person? I don't know. I looked, but I didn't find anyone. I thought he was Itachi given that he spoke to the old man, but I didn't find anything there. And I end up quickening his death, said Naruto, as he shook his head. Keep this scroll safe, only Shikamaru must know its contents. Why Shikamaru? And Naru was chosen to oversee things. Perhaps the third also let some things slip to Shikaku. That is why Shikaku sent Shikamaru to Uza, without letting Tsunade know. Time skip. In rain. As Naruto looked down towards the rain village, from the tallest tower. This place was so unique. He always found it fascinating when he came here. There was no village like it. Today was a good day because the god was allowing them some sun. But the moment he went out, the rain would return. It was pleasant now that the rain was not falling. The rain was rather a peaceful village. It was a pity that people used it as a battlefield. Then again, the bigger nations never allow battle to happen in their own playground. Are you going for another battle? Nagato asked, as he walked towards the blonde, with Konan behind him. Naruto glanced towards him, before looking back towards the peaceful streets. But it is not against the numbers that we're facing in battle. I'm going to invade the Hidden Stone, he said. Nagato raised an eyebrow at that. Something had to have happened because they had decided not to invade the villages. They would defeat them in battle rather than invading them. It would have been much simpler to invade, but that wouldn't have helped their cause. Has something happened? Naruto nodded, but he did not immediately respond. He first turned towards Konan. He then spoke. The Hidden Stone has kidnapped the Kazekage's sister. I have to retrieve her. It won't be a full-blown invasion, but I would face a Jinchuriki. If you're going to invade, won't they decide to move out while you're fighting? Said Konan. They would not wait until he was finished fighting. They might even kill her. Diversion, said Naruto. It will affect our situation in the stone, but it can't be helped. Nagato did not like this, but they must have thought this through before they decided to make a move. He was no one to make decisions without thinking first. Why have they done this? What is your end goal? And why are you doing it? He has nothing to do with the Empire goals. We don't have to act because of that. Naruto smiled. That's a good argument. Temari has no value to our goals, he said. We could let her be, and it would not affect us in any way. The Sand would blame the Hidden Stone. But aside from it being personal with me, there was a calculated move behind this. The stone wanted to make the Sand and Konoha fight, while keeping them out of the battle. It would be bad for us if those two fought. For now, things work well when they're civil. It is even better now since my attack has both the Sand and Konoha agreeing. Nagato nodded as expected. It seems that Naruto thought about things. He always did. Both the Cloud and Stone should be meeting soon. We should make a move before they do. That is part of the reason I stopped by here. Their numbers are still too large. Both you and I will attack. We will reduce their numbers before they meet. Konan will stay behind and watch over the Hidden Rain. In case there is any movement, if it is too much, I will assist with my mobility. Is that acceptable? He asked. Yes, said Nagato. Konoha is planning to force both A and Oniki into a Kage summit. Our action will convince them to go to the summit and take a breather and think about their losses, said Naruto. You plan to use the summit to lay the seed for what is about to come after the war, said Konan. It won't make a difference with A or Oniki because they're gonna die in this war, she said. Yes, but their guards will be alive and witness everything. Even if their guards die, it does not matter because this will contain the other three, said Naruto. He then stood up. Be ready for when I return. I assured Konoha I wouldn't attack in the summit. So, I want to make an attack before. Time skip. About 2 hours later, the Hidden Stone came to a standstill as something dropped from the sky and crashed into the Tishikage's building. The large building exploded into debris. Every part of the building exploded outwards. A powerful gust of wind then blasted debris through the streets. When everything cleared, Naruto stood in the midst of all of this. It took seconds for him to be surrounded by shinobi, some with masks, some without. Kurosaki stepped up with a smile on her lips, as Naruto could recognize the Jinchuriki behind her. Welcome to the Hidden Stone, Your Majesty, she said in a rather mocking tone. If you said that you were coming, I would have prepared a feast for you. But I suppose this will do, she said, as Naruto looked towards her before turning away. I would rather not have civilians involved. Let us take this outside, he said. How kind of you, said Kurosaki. I don't have time for your sarcasm, but if you still want to fight here, I have no problem in stepping on your throats right now, said Naruto. We will take your offer, she said, but I thought you came here for Temari. Don't you want to know what happened to her? I quite enjoy her screams when I give her the same treatment that you had given to me. I thought you would. No one saw him move, but yet he was now standing in front of her. Before anyone could do anything, the ground cracked underneath him. Kurosaki fell down as this overwhelming chakra hit her. I let you live before, but my grace does not extend further than this. You will die before I leave this village. Don't worry though. I will release your chakra and then crush you. But I'm still a merciful person. You have 1 minute to say your goodbyes, and I will begin taking down these people while you watch. Helplessly, he said. Meanwhile, Neri watched from a distance as Naruto moved away. These people are lucky that the Emperor didn't decide to run loose in their village, because everything would have been destroyed. I thought they were keeping her in the Tishikage's tower, said Nyoki. He was not concerned about Naruto's battle, he had already seen enough. And the Emperor didn't need anyone to protect him. Let's go, we have a mission. His Majesty will not be happy if we fail it. When have we failed a mission? Well, in this situation, said Nyoki, when things are not complete in our hands, we can fail. Well, if they lose, they might decide to kill her. That will set off an interesting chain of events, Nero said. Well in thought. Let us get this over with quickly. I want to watch a battle. Meanwhile, as Naruto looked up, there was no need to draw a blade for this, he wouldn't be needed it. Besides, he still needed to remove the seal from Kurosaki. As he looked towards the 50 that were facing him, the Jinchuriki and that black-haired woman, he removed the gloves off his hand and glanced towards Kurosaki. He took a step forward, but the second he did so, the ground burst, and he was lifted high up in the sky. He glanced upwards and sensed a chakra spike. There was 2 men flying down towards him, Earth style. Both of them encased their right hands in rock, before bringing their punches down towards Naruto's head. As he covered his leg in wind chakra and brought it upwards, as he slammed it into the rock punches, they cracked, but the enemy added more power into it as it did not shatter. As Naruto increased pressure on the attacks, While he was still in the struggle, he sensed two others underneath him. A man coming towards him that blade first, as he swinged it, as Naruto caught his right hand in chakra, as he reached and caught the blade, as he pulled the sword along with the man, as he slammed the man into the rock punches. The man cried out in pain as he slammed right into the force of the rock. As Naruto disappeared in a blur and appeared above them, his wind sword appeared as he swung it. Gravity started to pull them down, as blood burst from their bodies. While still in mid-air, Naruto's eyes looked around as he searched for a safe place to land. His body twisted away and he was gone. There were 5 men standing together in a stance. As Naruto appeared right between them, he grabbed 2 of them by their throats and slammed their heads together. Their heads started to bleed instantly from the force. The other 2 twisted and raised their legs. As Naruto grabbed it, he placed so much pressure into his hands, he snapped their kneecap. As Naruto sensed movement, the 5th man behind him, as he saw something sharp, he tilted his head. As he grabbed the man's hand that was holding on to the kunai, he used his free hand to flash through seals. As he took in a breath, wind style, burning gusts, he exhaled a powerful gust of wind mixed with flames. It was like a miniature, majestic flame destroyer. The jutsu slammed into his opponents within seconds, like a wave. When the flames died out, there was nothing, absolutely nothing left of their bodies. He had no time to observe his handiwork, as a massive dragon flame came towards him from behind. He allowed it to get near before, with a snap of his fingers, the flames vanished. A hardened foot slammed into his forehead while he was in mid-air. As he was sent sailing backwards, he flipped, as he landed gently. As he flashed through hand signs a moment, his feet touched down. Fire style, majestic flame destroyer. A wave of flames rushed towards the enemy flanks. Earth style, mud wall. It was not just one, multiple of mud walls arose. As Naruto wondered if it would really hold up against his flames, a clone formed beside him and vanished, as it appeared behind the enemy line that was trying to hold back the flames. As 2 balls of flames appeared in the clone's hand, as he tossed them. The moment the clone did that, something slammed into it. As Naruto received the memory, it was the 5-tailed Roshi. I had learned basic elements because I realized each of them had an advantage over one another. I had stopped with water because I could handle fire, but I never considered that I would be facing off against lava one day. So by that means you have nothing to counter lava, said Roshi. I would ask for you to give up, but you're an enemy of the stone. I cannot just let you leave. Let me leave? Naruto raised an eyebrow. You have me confused. I never said I can't hurt you. I hold the cube inside of me and have access to his power. I can crush you. Roshi did not respond as he rushed forward, as Naruto stood there waiting on him. When he got close, he jumped, as he twisted his foot through the air, coming towards Naruto's head. As Naruto brought his arms up and blocked the kick as he was forced to slide back. Roshi brought his hands together and tried to drop them on Naruto's skull. As Naruto leapt into the air, the moment his feet touched the ground, he shot towards Roshi. As Roshi shot towards him, Roshi brought his fist around as Naruto slipped right underneath it, as he flashed 2 hand signs while slipping underneath it. Fire style, fireball jutsu. As he released intense flames from his mouth, they slammed right into Roshi. As Naruto straightened up and faced Roshi, without even looking up, he jumped and twisted his leg through the air. Roshi's right foot blasted right where he once was, as he was encased by lava. When he turned, his feet was covered with chakra as he attempted to kick Roshi in the face. Roshi folded both of his hands across his face. When Naruto slammed this kick right into the arms, he felt his leg burn a bit. But Roshi was forced back by the force of the kick, as Naruto leapt away. Now this is dangerous, he said. Despite that, he looked excited. I guess I should use... He sensed movement from behind as he activated Senjutsu. He tilted his head to the right, as Shinobi tried to drive a punch towards the back of his head. He then twisted clockwise. His right hand ripped through the man's chest. As Naruto twisted along with the man, Roshi lava punch slammed into the man's face, as Naruto used it to block his own body. As the man's head burned, as he screamed because he had yet to die with Naruto in his chest, but that sealed his fate and he was now dead. As Naruto shrugged the man off, he placed a hand on his shoulder and he caught Kurosaka's leg that she slammed with incredible force down on him. But in Sage mode, it was like a twig coming down. As he gripped her leg and squeezed it, he crushed the bones in it. She let out a small cry as he pulled her towards the front. He brought Kurosaki down with so much force on Roshi. He nearly snapped off her entire leg. Roshi had anticipated that as he jumped up in the air, avoiding the slam. Kurosaki hit the ground with her face in the most brutal way. There was a small boom as her body got buried into the earth as she cursed slightly. This was not going according to plan. She had to break through or all would be lost. She too would be lost. As Naruto lifted his right foot to stomp on her leg to break it, but Roshi flashed in front of him, driving a lava punch towards his face. He was forced to jump back. The moment Naruto landed, a spike came from the ground, trying to pierce him. He slammed his heel into the spike, crushing it. Roshi then came towards him as Naruto dodged a punch, and launched a punch towards the man's face as he turned his head. But he was blown back by an unseen force. As Naruto flashed towards Kurosaki, he drove a right punch towards her chest. She rolled. Boom! The entire ground exploded. She was thankful that she dodged it or her chest would have broken down instantly. But something grabbed her left leg. She never got to look up as she was pulled by chakra chains. Roshi was right in front of her, his fist coming towards her chest as she was tossed right in his direction. Roshi tried to cancel his lava cloak, but he was too late. His fist slammed into her chest as it burned away at her skin, as she cried out in pain, coughing up blood. As Naruto created a clone that caught her, as he held her in a locked position. The real Naruto flashed behind Roshi, who was no longer in his cloak. Crimson hands burst out and grabbed the man, before smashing him into the ground. Falling swords, said Naruto. 3 invisible winged swords pierced down, 2 of them slamming through Roshi's knee, and the other one slamming to his shoulder. Roshi coughed up blood. The blonde was a brutal bastard. He couldn't win like this. He needed to transform now. As Naruto went towards Kurosaki, fighting in Sage mode is truly cheating, he said. I can feel all the chakra can feel that he's about to transform into his Biju form. As Naruto summoned his wind sword, hold out her hands, said Naruto. As a clone held out her hands, fear crept into her heart. She could tell what was about to happen. She opened her mouth to say something, but the explosion of chakra behind Naruto drowned out the sound of her voice. He didn't seem to hear either. As he brought his invisible blade down, it teared through her right shoulder. Her hand was sliced clean off. As Naruto caught it before it could hit the ground, and did something cruel. He threw it in the air and spat out intense flames. He incinerated her right hand. You bastard! You pay for this, she cried. As Naruto placed away his blade. I let you go without punishment last time. This time you will not, he said. As he slammed the sage enhanced punch in her chest. Her chest was already badly bruised and burned. For a second there, she couldn't even breathe. She crashed over to the side. He did not check on her as he turned towards the incoming Biju. It was rushing towards him. Son Goku brought down his fist. Naruto held up both of his hands as a monstrous punch slammed on his hands. The ground he stood on shattered, creating a small crater. But he pushed the hand away. Son Goku's other hand came around and slapped Naruto to the side. Son Goku leaped as he brought his fist down. Boom! It destroyed the ground. But Naruto was not there. Naruto was already behind as he grabbed one of its tails. As he started to spin with it, the monstrous Biju was picked up and spun before he launched it away. The Biju brought its hand down and slammed it on the ground for support. It lifted his tails and started to create a Biju bomb. Then Neri and Narai flashed beside Naruto. Have you secured the target? Yes, Neri said. Then let us leave. I'm afraid I already had fun for one day, and I tested the physical prowess of Senjutsu to my satisfaction. Are you sure? Or is it because you just don't want to deal with that, said Neri, as he pointed towards the Biju bomb. I can deflect it by activating my wind armor while using Sage mode, but I want to use it in battle with Nagato while facing off against enemies. Should it be successful in battle, it would be perfect to use against the Kages. As Son Goku launched the Biju bomb, as Naruto and the others disappear. At Uza hospital, Temari could remember the last time that she was in the hospital, but she wasn't that badly injured. Kurosaki had played some games with her, but she hadn't badly wounded her. The pain though, the woman had ditched it out a lot. But her contempt, her anger was all towards Naruto. No wonder she tried to assassinate him. Temari sat up as she looked around. She could not feel anything that was going on outside. She didn't know where she was, but yet her heart felt safe. Her fan was right there against the wall, as the window was open as well. The door slowly started to open as her eyes looked towards it. As the Emperor stepped in, she smiled, seeing his face. I didn't think the first person I would be seeing was you. If it was you, I thought I would be in your place, she said. He shared her smile as he sat down right beside her. She didn't have any bandages. It was just precautionary to bring her here. I can leave and bring back the person you wanted to see, he said. As Temari simply shook her head. It is fine, she said, as he took her hand. I'm truly glad that you're well, Temari. I was worried over your safety. Though I was certain nothing would be done to you, I did worry about your safety. She looked into his eyes. She has never seen his eyes so human, so alive. There was times that she wondered if he truly did feel something. Everyone's had emotion that he hid away. Difficult to understand with most people, but Naruto was like a steel wall that you could not penetrate. But now, he felt happy that she was okay, and he was showing her his emotions. I was surprised when they appeared, but you must know, I am not a weak person, she said in a hardened tone. Your strength as a kunoichi has never dwindled in my thinking, because I never thought about it before. I always thought of you as my Temari, he said. Since when did I become yours, she asked. Since I stripped you naked in Konoha. You are fun, easily embarrassed, inexperienced, he said. Forgive me for not having the same experience as a man who frequently go to bar to get laid. Now, there's no need to bring on the past. You started this, she said. Perhaps I should lock the door, close the windows, and then strip. You seem to behave quite obediently when I don't have any clothes on. As he was saying that, he started to remove his upper shirt. What are you doing? This is the hospital, she said. A amused look came on his face. Don't you know, forbidden pleasures are quite enjoyable. No wonder you visit bars, she said. How's my brother? Fine, he said. He's in Konoha at the moment. I will take you to him. He's your brother. You should be with family. I have a war to fight, he said. And do not worry, the stone will not achieve their target. I was worried that the sand would be dragged into war and people might die for my sake, said Temari. Naruto shook his head. Nothing of such will happen, he said. Come here, he said. As she shifted closer and rested on his chest, she felt safe, protected. When he placed his arms around her, he was never cold, he was always warm. She enjoyed the comfort. Her body complained when he placed her back down in bed. As he kissed her on the forehead, rest, he said. Someone will take you to my house later. Where are you going, she asked. To war, he said. Time skip. At the land of canyons. When was the last time he stepped out of the hidden ring so freely? Nagato did not remember. He had regained much of his mobility, but he did not step out the path always in most of the fighting for him. It was the safest method to ensure survival. Ever since he got rid of Madara, his focus has strengthened. In a way, they were now moving towards peace. The great nations will no longer be to impose their will upon nations. He eyed Naruto, who was sitting on a tree branch beside him. His feet was swinging. Below him was Haku, and with three of his packs. He remembered that he nearly killed Yoshino when he first came in the village, but the man only wanted to talk. Naruto had been summoned to him, and the both of them had talked. Yaiko would have been disappointed with him of how long he fell for that man's game. He had great power, and Yaiko had warned him not to fall for Madara talk. The dream had not changed though. He just went with another method now. About an hour later, the forces were making their way. These places were not good for stone shinobis to fight after all. They were used to the rocky terrain, not the trees. Cairo knew that Kumo forces had been annihilated twice. He knew that it was a matter of time before they were attacked. Their enemies had wild-scale jutsus that he could use to level the entire area. They couldn't afford to stay in one place. Worried, as Shinobi asked, running beside him. Cairo looked to the side. Shinobis were running at full force behind him, with Han along with them. They were focused to move through the country. They were warned to not piss off the leader of this country, because if they did anything out of the way, they would breach a contract. A little, said Cairo. The news that we have been receiving is not pleasant at all. The Emperor released the cube in his last battle, and there was massive casualties for our allies. We have Han with us. Well, hopefully that will be enough, Cairo said. He doubted though the cube was still the strongest Biju. Han had more experience, but if he transformed, things would get deadly if the enemy transformed into the full 9 tails. Halt, said Cairo after running for a while. As Han had moved quickly, he sensed powerful chakra signatures up ahead. Scouts, as he motioned for them to move forward ahead of the group. Meanwhile, with Naruto, as he was leaning up against a tree trunk, his eyes were closed. His presence had completely vanished. Just a bit behind him was Nagato and Haku. As he sensed 2 shinobis moving closer, he smiled. They were being rather cautious. The tactics that they were using were getting these reactions from these people. They knew they couldn't come in, guns blazing. As he watched the 2 hopping through the trees silently. Yes, they sent out the scouts, alright. Their movements were silent despite moving swiftly. There was little chakra activity. They had been well trained. It was a pity that he would have to kill them. As Naruto flashed away, both men froze when he appeared right between them. As he placed a hand on their shoulder. Wing present, he said. Both of them fell down to the ground. They started to hit their face against the ground as an invisible wind barrier had formed around their head, cutting off their oxygen. They struggled, they kicked, but Naruto did not watch as he looked up in the sky. After a couple of moments, they stopped moving. They have already moved into 4 groups, said Nagato as he spoke to the Deva path. 2 groups have flanked our sides. The others have moved back. It is probably the group with the supplies that have moved back. Are you safe? Naruto asks. I should be, unless they have a sensor. But even if they find me, I will handle them. Since my real body is unknown to them, and their plan is to capture any Uzumaki, they will likely surround me. I will keep the Azure Path with me, nevertheless, as the Azure Path blasted off. Well then, said Naruto, shall we? Back with the stone group, Kairu frowned. The scouts were not returning. That just meant that they were killed. He could sense chakra signatures moving through the forest, heading straight towards them. If it was the Emperor or the Hidden Rain duo, they could survive this because they have already made their move. There was no use dying here. He would hold them here while the others move forward. His fears were confirmed as 3 people arrived, walking casually. The messy blonde hair, it was the Emperor. The black hair was our companion of the Emperor. And the orange hair shinobi was the powerful shinobi from the rain. He held up his right hand. A 5-tailed miniature beast leaped from behind him as it fired a beam from his mouth. As the attack slammed where the 3 was, it uprooted trees and blasted apart the earth as a large amount of debris picked up in the air as Han landed right in front of them, just in case, preparing himself for another attack. When the debris cleared away, the 3 was still standing there, as Naruto and Haku were behind the Deva path, with his hand towards where the technique had came from. I think they're trying to kill us, said Naruto calmly. Well, they would have prepared themselves, since we announced to them that we were coming, said Nagato. They're coming, Haku said. There were multiple projectiles coming from all over. They were all filled with explosive notes, as Naruto clapped both of his hands. Wind tornado, he said, as twisting wings surrounded the 3 of them. It blasted away all the projectiles, as the projectiles exploded. As the explosion caused the wind to disperse, as Han did not hesitate to leap right above them, its 5 tails coming down on the group, as Haku went through hand signs, demonic, ice shield. 5 mirrors were formed. The tails shattered the first one, and the second one. It slammed into the third one, but it did not explode immediately. It started to crack, as Naruto flashed away, already in Sage mode as he grabbed the Jinchuriki's leg. He pulled the beast from mid-air and smashed it into the ground. You should really use that jutsu, Naruto. This looked like it would be troublesome, said Naruto, as he tilted his head as a piercing chakra tail shot past his ear. Han was already up as he launched towards Naruto, swiping his claw across his chest. As Naruto jumped back slightly, while he was still in mid-air, a chakra hand burst from the ground and grabbed his right leg. It hurled him to the sides, as he was sent crashing through trees, as he broke through each of them before he flipped calmly and landed on his feet. The moment he looked up, the Jinchuriki was above him, as he crossed his arms, as Han smashed a fist right into his defense. The ground underneath Naruto buckled and shattered, as Naruto felt pain in his arm. So, you're attacking me, because you know I'm a Jinchuriki, said Naruto. Han did not respond. He released a massive output of chakra as he started to transform. As Naruto jumped back, Han released a massive stream of boiling mist. A mirror of ice formed in front of Naruto, giving him the time to leap away, as Han started to change fully. Planetary devastation, said Nagato, as he released a black orb up in the sky. He slammed his hands together. The ground started to shake as the trees started to be rooted up and pulled into the sky. The jutsu started to pull everything up in the sky. As the 5-tail felt the ground beneath it started to shake as it jumped to the side, the ground broke as rocks were being pulled into the sky. The Biju could not land fully as it was being pulled itself. A large chunk slammed right into the Biju's chest as it was launched straight up in the sky. It slammed into the ball that was forming as more rocks slammed into it. As Naruto landed right beside Deva Path, where it was safe to stand, as he looked up towards a massive rock formation with Han captured inside. Kairu looked up, wide eyes, at what just happened. What the hell should he do now? They couldn't bring that thing down, and their enemies were still on their feet. Plan B, he shouted. The trees had been blown away, and it was now flat ground, as he flashed through hand sign and slammed his hands on the ground. The ground where the three stood rose up in the sky. As Naruto looked down, the rock pillar that they were on was surrounded by explosive tags. They planned to burn us alive, said Naruto, as the thing started to explode from below, coming straight up. Can you bring this thing down, said Naruto. As Nagato nodded. Have it crash on them then, said Naruto, as Naruto took hold of both Haku and Nagato and he leaped in the air. As he was still in Senjutsu, he flashed away as he arrived on a tree a distance away. The shinobi's cursed as the enemies got away when they realized that the place was becoming dark. Wait, as they looked up, it's coming down! As they started to flee, but it was too late as the thing came down with ridiculous force. It smashed down on the enemies. The force was chaotic. Han was lying there in the midst of it all in his human body. He was alive but unconscious. Seconds later, Naruto landed beside him as he marveled at destruction. Boom! Another explosion went off a distance away. It was no doubt Nagato as he looked over. And they were not yet done, there was still more to come, as he picked up Han and flashed away with him in a gust of wind. What are you gonna do with him? I have no plans, said Naruto, but perhaps I can use him as a bargaining chip after the war. We will also capture some enemies who we will use for the same purpose. As Naruto placed Han down right beside Haku, he stepped forward. He placed his hand on the ground as a massive rock formation brought him straight up in the sky. As Haku looked up, Naruto was still in siege mode and he wanted to attack the enemy force a distance away. Planetary. Fire-rusting shuriken, said Naruto as he held his hand to the sky as he formed a ball of flames. The ball of flame was almost as big as one of the Kyuubi tail beast ball. The heat was so intense he started to sweat as he started to add wind chakra into the ball of flames. A single mistake and he would be put into medical care. The jutsu required a lot of chakra, but it did not matter because he was using natural energy. A blade of wind started to emerge from the ball of flames as it started to spin. The weight of the jutsu caused the rock that he was on to crack. Below, Haku noticed the cracks as he stepped forward. He placed his hands on the pillar and froze it. The thing that was above Naruto was like a miniature sun as it spread wide. Nagato was shocked. It is as big as my complete planetary devastation, and that is all chakra. Is he gonna throw it? Yes, Haku said. Then it is good that we're not enemies, said Nagato. You'd have been quite a problem. The same can be said about you, Nagato, said Haku. Meanwhile, as Naruto looked where the enemy forces were with supplies, before he took a breath, he then launched the massive attack towards them. It flashed through the air with incredible speeds before it finally hit. The explosion was chaotic as Naruto then leaped off the platform and landed on the ground. The Devapath was looking at him as he created a clone to pick up Han. I'm a pro shinobi, he said. I don't like anyone showing me off. You can summon your path back. Haku and I will rush back, he said. Without a word, the path poofed away. Moments later, as Naruto arrived to where Nagato was left, hundreds of bodies lie dead. As he found Nagato standing a couple feet away from there. They attacked you then, said Naruto. It was impossible to hide when I'm constantly sending chocolate to my path, said Nagato. As Naruto was not complaining, they had just cut down a large force of stone shinobis. Oniki would be at a severe disadvantage right now. If he was smart, he would have just surrendered right now like how he did in the Third Great Shinobi War. We must still press on, said Naruto. I wanted to make things very clear to them that it's not the numbers, but it is by pure strength. The great nations have always shown their power to lesser nations. I have no problem with showing them what they have done to us in the past, said Nagato. Then let's move quickly, said Naruto. What about the people of this land? They gave passage to the hidden stone so they can benefit of us being wiped out. I would have just go there and wipe out their village completely, but you would have looked at me with an annoying look. I would rather not have that. We will deal with that once. We have done this war. Time skip. Akisaki read the message that he got. He had saw the ball of flames in the sky. He thought that it was the sun. And also he thought that the moon had come down as well, with that ball of earth in the sky. These people that they were fighting was definitely not shinobis. They were not even humans. In the last war, the fort had gotten the Fleon Side order. Now, they had to focus on the emperor. who was showing that he was as deadly as well. Who could have thought that things would have come to this point? It was just Uzu they had thought, but Uzu had nothing but monsters. Akisaki-sama, a scout said, a bit out of breath. Are they coming? Akisaki said. Yes, said the scout. This is different from the usual attacks. They usually attack a single unit and then retreat. I have a plan, Akisaki said. Listen carefully and then deliver. My message to all of the leaders of the groups. Back with Naruto. With Sage Mode, he could feel the amount of forces moving around. Nagato was a sensor, so he could sense it too, to some extent. They have divided themselves into 3 equal forces, said Naruto. They know that we're coming, and they're preparing for us, Haku said. This wasn't going to be easy. Should we split? Naruto asked. Nagato shook his head. That is probably the intention. It would make things easy for them if we split. Let us continue to move forward towards the group that is ahead. They have not moved yet. Naruto nodded. I wonder what kind of surprise they have for us. If they saw what happened, they will not make it easy for us, said Nagato. I will keep my summons close by, for our retreat just in case. Those 2 groups will probably try to block all paths of our escape. Naruto smiled at that. I've been retreating a lot, he said. Well, once this day ends, it will be a huge step to our victory. They and Rin won't face any more threats, I doubt. They would send any more shinobis. They're Kages. They know if they do that, they would just be sending their shinobis to their death. But it won't matter anyway, said Nagato. As long as the rain is not threatening, my people can continue to enjoy their peace. We fought for it, and we will fight for the peace in this world as well. Naruto did not comment. He was much more focused on survival of his clan. If peace was a result of his actions, who was he to deny the fact? After moving for a while, they came to a stop shinobis. They stood on large boulders. They were waiting for them. There were 4 large golems that stood, tall on his sides. As Naruto turned towards Nagato, you're going to fight yourself, he asked. I will see if I can move well, said Nagato. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. Maybe my paths will be destroyed, and I will be forced to enter battle. I must be ready. I thought you always believed that you could not be defeated, said Naruto. There is that, said Nagato, but I'm not stupid. They're busy with something, said Naruto. The moment those words left his lips, the ground below them started to shift down. But as they attempt to jump away, rock walls form all around, blocking their path. A large hole formed in the ground, carrying them deep within. As Naruto looked around, this is Earth, mobile core, I think. This is not the time to be impressed, said Nagato. Even I cannot break away from here with almighty push. We will have to climb back out. You don't think they plan to bury us alive, do you? Haku said. I can also manipulate Earth, said Naruto. I should be able to undo this jutsu. As he placed his hand on the ground, but he could not send chakra through the ground. Up it is then, he said. Summoning jutsu, said Nagato, as he summoned his large bird. Before he could even jump on the bird, the top was closed. As everything went dark, the walls started to light up, and so did the ground. Nagato frowned as he dispelled his summon. It would just get destroyed. They were boxed in and he could see thousands of explosive tags. Leave it to the stone forces to bury. Explosive tags underground, said Naruto. We are not escaping without a scratch. The ground started to burn as the 3 of them jumped up. That is if we escape at all. As Naruto summoned the Fox Chakra, and passed on 4 tails worth of chakra in Nagato and Haku, as he got encased in the chakra, I could probably escape using 6 tails worth of chakra. But Haku will die, and you will just blast away damage, said Naruto as he released chakra chains. These things of mine are just cheap imitation. They're weak. But we should still survive, he said, as a chains wrapped around them. Boom! All the explosives went off. On the surface, Akisaki felt it, as the ground shook as steam came from it. He hoped that was enough to bury the Emperor, and the war was over now. After the ground finally stopped shaking, he stood there. He said nothing for a couple of moments, until he finally spoke. Think that was enough? The moment those words left his lips, a beam of energy blasted from the ground. The man close to him turned to him. As he gave him a look, you had to ask. That was what the look clearly said. The 3 of them leaped out of the ground. Haku spat out some blood. As he looked at himself, he almost bit off his tongue when the explosion went off. His clothes were burned. His left arm was bleeding, but nothing too dangerous. He will heal. He was just happy that he was alive. Nagato. A part of his clothes were burned, but he was fine. And for Naruto, he was completely fine. His clothes was not burned. His hands were smoking though. Haku knew if he was not there, nothing would have happened to Naruto. He'd have escaped. Do we still fight? Haku asked. I don't think we have much of a choice, said Nagato. as he noticed a golem moving towards him. Summon your bird, Nagato. Haku, you get on it. We will be quick. We can't simply run with our tails between our legs. As he started to massage his neck muscle, as his Sage mode activated, a Rasengan formed in his palm. As he vanished, he flashed in front of the golem. The thing brought down his massive arm towards him. As Naruto ducked and brought his jutsu towards the arm, boom! The Rasengan blasted right off. As Naruto twisted and smashed his heel right on the thing's head. As it burst, he jumped towards another golem. As the thing stretched out his arms to grab him, Naruto flashed behind it. As he landed, the moment he did, the thing fell, its upper half separated from the lower half. He leaped up in the air as another golem launched a massive boulder towards him. As he flipped, Sage RT said, "Dust storm," as he inhaled a large amount of air before he released it into a massive stream. The stream picked up dust and started to rush straight towards the enemy. Meanwhile, summoning jutsu, Nagato had summoned his bird the moment Naruto disappeared from them. Haku didn't need to be told as he leaped on the bird. As it went up in the air, Nagato then started to calmly walk as 3 golems moved towards him. He held out his hand as they came. Almighty. Push! He blasted all of them into pieces of rocks. He then turned towards the enemy force. As he saw a massive cloud of dust moving towards them, he shook his head. Naruto had indeed trained himself to fight a war. These wide-scale jutsus had no use for a one-on-one battle, but against the army, they were devastating. Nagato told Naruto to halt as he leaped into the dust, as he could feel the shinobis trying to escape. This time, he pumped out more chakra than usual. Almighty. Push, he said. Everything was blown, the dust, the shinobis, and the large boulders that remained behind. Haku felt something as Naruto flashed right in front of him, as he stood on top of the bird. As Nagato stood in the midst of nothing but destruction. Most of them were dead, but some had escaped. The bird flew down as Nagato jumped right on top of it. As the direction was heading towards a hidden rain, they were done here. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part, then do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in social media platform. And also, guys, stay tuned for the rest of what is coming your way over an Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. And if you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2, and Making 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, and yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace out.